couple months ago, I met up with over 100 Etsy sellers to talk about what's stopping them from 10xing their profits. And these shops ranged from digital to print on demand to handmade to sourced by a seller. And while many of the sellers were making over $20,000 a month on Etsy, I also met many sellers who were tired and beat up, and some were ready to give up on their shops altogether. Today, I'm gonna break down the biggest constraints that are keeping you from growing on Etsy. Let's start with constraint number one, which is what I consider to be essential if you want Etsy to be a business and not just a hobby. And this is your hourly wage. Yes, your hourly wage can quickly become a constraint in your business if you do not track this per product diligently. Profit is everything, and your hourly wage is something you should hyperfixate on. And of course, you're not gonna feel like Etsy's worth it if you're not making money and it's not impacting your lifestyle. In this profit calculator, this is exactly what you wanna do in your shop. You need to have a different profit calculator laid out for each product type. And in the profit calculator, you are seeing your hourly wage per item. So all you have to do is fill in the yellow part, what the revenue will be, right? Your prices, what your cost is, including shipping and packaging. If they are paying the exact amount for shipping, don't even worry about it. You can completely leave that out. And then you're also going to put in the minutes of labor for that item, including packaging. So any minutes that goes into an order, if it's digital, same thing, the number of minutes that it takes for you to handle that customer's transaction. And then it will give you your hourly wage. And we always want to be making over $100 an hour when working on your shop. Why? Because this will allow you to hire people, and this makes your shop scalable, whether you're doing print on demand, digital, or handmade, or sourced by a seller. So we take our profit per item and we calculate the hourly wage. You can see with my flower walls, it was $262 an hour. My sweatshirts were $206 an hour. Floral letters were $204 an hour. My hoop wreath name decor was $190. My garlands were $159. My mobiles were $118. My maternity sashes were $127. Flower crowns were $197 per hour. My wood cutouts were $240 an hour. My cake toppers were $91 an hour. And then my flower supply, which is my loss leaders, that was still $138 an hour. This is the way to prevent your hourly wage from becoming a constraint in your business. You will know exactly what products are and what products are not worth your time. And the minute you stop focusing on hourly wage is the minute that your profitability is at risk. The specific way I see this constrain people's business is when they're not focused on hourly wage per product, they don't know where to spend their time and on which products, and you also don't know where it makes sense financially to hire help and outsource. If you don't know your hourly wage, then how could you know if someone else's hourly wage could fit into that? Hourly wage is great, but that will have no impact on your shop if your constraint is that you are an end of week person instead of an end of day person. You know those people who say, yes, I'll get it done this week, or yeah, let's do that this week. Maybe you're telling yourself that you'll do something for your shop this week. And there is a huge difference in the mindset of thinking end of week versus end of day. It just makes your business move at a completely different pace. My encouragement to you is that thing you need to do, take it off of your end of week list and put it on an end of day list. And an example of that is actually Erica, who was one of my clients, and she came to the Ultimate Etsy Summit in January. And we were doing our breakout coaching sessions, and she was asking me about what she can do to get the listings that she needed to crank out and get into her shop.
I am sitting on tons of product photography that I've already taken.
Yeah.
And the problem is finding the time to sit down and create listings. Listings don't take me like 30 minutes. They take me a lot longer.
How many listings would that be, do you think?
Maybe I have 8 or 9 or 10 that I've photographed already.
So the opportunity cost of not getting those up, that could be like $500 a day.
Yeah, more.
So I would think, how long is that flight home?
It is 3 hours.
I would buy the Wi-Fi. And use that. Get to the airport early and just like post up 8 listings. How long does each one take?
Oh, me? Hours.
Really?
Yeah.
I would honestly make a goal to have them done by the time you land. I know you're going. Wait, how? From the time you get to the airport, try to get one done before you get on. Have them imperfect, send them to us.
Okay.
and just publish them. If they're not perfect, fine. So start with your phone while you're waiting. Everyone's getting on. You don't want your laptop out.
Yeah.
And then edit them on your phone.
Okay.
And then now you're up in the air. Put them in your iCloud, and then switch the Wi-Fi to your computer.
Okay.
But really, seriously, imperfect, even if it's like 3 sizes, 5 colors, we can edit these descriptions and review it tomorrow. Patch sweatshirts that I did, I had the idea, and I didn't list them for almost 6 months. Those ended up doing like 50 grand a month.
I know.
And that was so much money that I lost.
And she worked that whole flight, and she did it. Just force yourself to do something in a compressed amount of time. Tell yourself, I'm not going to sleep until this is done. And really remember that imperfect conditions are the perfect conditions, because they will train you to be invincible and resilient. The only personal constraint worse than being an end of week person is being a goal recycler. Do you know what I mean by that? A goal recycler is the person who makes it a goal to do this thing, and then whenever that deadline comes, they set the same goal with a new deadline. They just keep kicking the can down the road. We see this so often with people who are thinking about opening an Etsy shop this year. And then they push that down to summer. Summer starts, they get busy, and then they tell themselves, I'm gonna make it happen before Black Friday. I'm gonna open my shop before Thanksgiving timeframe. Doesn't happen, and then suddenly it's another January goal. And this also happens a lot with people who are looking to replace their income with Etsy, and that will coincide with the date when they want to maybe quit their job. I want to replace my income by the end of summer. I want to quit my job by the end of the year. Those dates come and they haven't done it yet. The most fascinating thing to me is I have spoken with thousands and thousands of Etsy sellers. They set these arbitrary goals of, okay, I'm gonna get the shop open and try to get some sales and then I'll come back to you. Or I have a shop, I'm gonna try to get the sales up just watching YouTube videos and then I'll come back to you. A year later, they book another call with us. Like, I talked to you like a year ago or a year and a half ago. They're still stuck in the same place. And I find this out pretty quickly through the series of questions. I'll ask, is what you're currently doing working? They'll say no. And then I ask, and if you keep doing more of what's not working, will that make it work? This mindset will constrain their business indefinitely. Now, let's say you're good at achieving your goals and that's not your problem. Well, the next constraint of boxing yourself in to one customer might be your biggest constraint. I see people get very hung up on their customer or their niche. Maybe it's wedding or religious items or their personal photography. Doing anything else feels wrong. That mindset is completely getting in the way of you stepping outside of your box and thriving. So instead, we want to find 10 complementary customers that you could target within your same shop to deconstrain the business and lift the ceiling. Now, notice I said complementary customers because the goal here is to have some overlap and to increase the lifetime value of your customer. And really boxing yourself into a niche or a specific single type of customer that will smother your LTV, the lifetime value of your customer. How do we make this possible? Through threads of cohesion. You can target many types of customers in the same shop when you have threads of cohesion and they are complementary. Now, this last constraint is going to ruffle some feathers. When I was at the Ultimate Etsy Summit, I've identified one of the biggest time sucks for our attendees. And this time suck is binge watching YouTube videos and distracting yourself with them, telling yourself that these videos will fix your business. Newsflash, these videos are not going to fix your business. These videos will not give you personalized guidance. Most people I talk to, they've watched YouTube videos for months or years and they've seen no results. You might just get so numbed and disillusioned thinking that these videos are fixing your shop, and watching them makes it feel like they are making a difference. Now, YouTube videos are great for specific click-by-click tutorials. However, for sales and marketing, right, for targeting the right customers, for getting in front of them, your personal sales and marketing strategy, these tend to be a little bit high level and not specific to your business. So it's really difficult for people to translate a YouTube video into the exact action items and priorities for their stage of their business. Now, if you are sick of fluff YouTube videos, then you'll want to go check out my most tactical, action-packed video that I've ever made. So go check it out right here and let me know what you think.